Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is just up in front doing what Bugsy does. I hope you are all happy and healthy. So does she. Doing the things that you love, with people that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour, guys. Smash the like button for me like you always do on the video. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already on the channel. And by the way, the growth, guys, is absolutely bonkers. It's just bonkers. We're now at 8,400. I don't know what's going on, but I very much appreciate all of the support. Welcome back to all the old names. Welcome to the new. Make yourselves at home. Whilst you're at it, hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today and every day's video. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, by the time this is up, I did actually drop a premiere at 9 AM this morning. My first premiere. I recorded it late last night, and it was based on David Raya and the statistical analysis of him to see if we could justify the expense, the 40 million, and how important is he to Tottenham's new system by looking at the Y-Scout tool and looking at every single goalkeeper across the top 5 leagues across Europe. I could have gone into more detail, included all 10,000 goalkeepers around the world, but if you just leave it that broad, then sometimes you're going to have ridiculously good performances from goalkeepers that are playing in ridiculously low leagues and stuff. So it's not really necessarily a true indication of whether or not we should be going after these goalkeepers. So for sticking for the top 5 leagues, you kind of rule some of that stuff out. And then we filtered out everybody one by one based on their relative performances across all of the metrics that are important to a goalkeeper that plays that system. So not just your shot stopping, your ability to, come and collect crosses or corners, but things like how good you are at distributing the ball with accuracy more than 30 meters, or really long balls into the final third. Very important characteristics and attributes to have, skill sets to have. Also how good are their interceptions outside of the box, how often are they likely to come outside of the box, which again is a characteristic, a trait of someone that plays a sweeper keeper system. And as we went through it, you'll see on the video, we dialed it up for everybody, and we went from 10,000 goalkeepers, and really there was about 7 goalkeepers that all had similarly ridiculously good performances in the last year playing that role. So even if David Raya doesn't work out, maybe we've identified a couple of other goalkeepers that could do a really good job if it's not him. From memory, the names are Rulli from Geronimo Rulli from Ajax. He looks really good, but he's about 31, 32, so I'm not sure if Tottenham would want to go down that path. Players that are a bit younger, Milenkovic-Savic from Torino. He had all of the great metrics as well, so maybe he's a goalkeeper to keep an eye on. And then also honourable mentions for Emiliano Martinez and the Cadiz goalkeeper and the Getafe goalkeeper, whose names escape me. Dimitrovic, I think, was one of them. So yeah, there are options, and that's the power of the Y-Scout tool, that it can throw up names that can fit the bill of what you need. I am going to be doing more of those sorts of videos on other positions, like left-footed, left-sided centre-backs. But I've already done a bit of research into that, and we're going to move the story forward now. Presuming that we get David Raya done, the next port of call would be a left-sided centre-back. And today, a lot of the media is pushing the name Max Kilman. A lot of the media are comparing Max Kilman to Raphael Varane of Manchester United. The justification for that sort of relationship is that FB Refs says that Max Kilman's most similar player, according to the stats, is Raphael Varane. I'm not sure I would go that far. I like Max Kilman. I think he's a very competent, solid defender. He's done very well for Wolves. He's a bit of a no-nonsense defender. He's left-footed, he's tall, he's very good in the air. But when you actually look at the statistics with a fine-tooth comb, and of course statistics aren't everything, because there's always context that you need to bake into it, but he kind of looks like he's above average at everything, but doesn't really stand out to me as world class at anything individually. Like, he's in the 60 to 70 percentile for everything. For tackles won, he's slightly above that for headers. He's about 85th percentile for headers, successful headers. But for like carries out of the box, or carries, progressive runs, progressive passes, through balls, key passes, all of the things that you want from him on the ball, he's very average at. That's really not the kind of defender that he is statistically. Seeing eye test might tell you something different, but the stats don't lie, I guess. So, look, I do like Max Kilman. I think he's very good. He's a massive improvement on what we have, and I'd be happy if he was coming in to be a participant in a squad where we overturned the entirety of the centre-back system. I want Christian Romero to stay, but I think we need a backup, a right-footed backup for him. Someone like Victor Nelson, who can play across the line, for me is a really good option to bring in, and there's rumours about him for 20 million quid. We'll see what happens there. On the left side, of course, we are also being linked heavily with confirming and making permanent the signing of Clement Longley. Now look, I was a big fan of Longley last summer when he was coming in. I did some statistical analysis reviews of him, and everything I kind of said about what the stats showed kind of came true. He is very competent on the ball. The stats showed that he's very, very good at passing. He can bring the ball forward, but his limitations and his weaknesses are in more of the defensive side of things. His ability to tackle defenders that dribble at him was very low, and that we found out very early on in the season. We played away at Sporting when Marcus Edwards just tore him a new one, dribbling at him. When you've got a left-sided centre-back in a back three, you're often going to be faced against inside forwards who are very fast and tricky, and technical players who are good dribblers. And someone like Longley in the Premier League was exposed a little bit for his big turning circle, his ability to get back, the pace that he doesn't have, and his aerial strengths. They were all quite exposed. So as a ball-playing centre-back, Clement Longley is very good. As a old-school, a centre-back that you need for a back four system, and especially one that plays with a high line, I'm not so sure is the right option. I don't think he's a bad player, let me put it this way, but I just think that the system now is changing, and I'm not entirely convinced whether or not his skill set is going to be adaptable to it. On the ball, fine, but off the ball, there's a problem there. And so I'm a little bit kind of weary about spending £6 million or €8 million, which is the touted fee, on him. The logic behind buying it from Barcelona's perspective is that we would save them, it would save them 30 million in unpaid wages. So I think he's on 10 million a year and about 200 grand a week, and he's still got 3 years left on his contract. So they would like to get rid of him. If he came to Tottenham, I would imagine that he wouldn't be on anything like 200 grand a week. I'm sure he'd have to take a 50% pay cut or something like that. So I'm not so much worried about it from the financial perspective, from a salary absorption. And look, Tottenham have got so many holes to plug this season that being able to buy the rotational player for a left-sided centre-back spot, that is a massive improvement on Joe Rodon, a massive improvement on Eric Dyer to a degree. Clement Longley is okay with me coming in, but it's not really my first choice. If we're looking for someone who is not the main left-sided centre-back choice, that we only want to spend 6-7 million on, for me there's a couple of guys that I've identified that I think would be better value, and one of them is a guy called Hiroki Ito, a Japanese international who plays for Stuttgart. He's 23, 24 years old, he's 6'2", and he's very fast. He's very competent defensively. He can get back and make the necessary challenges. His stats suggest he's not fantastic in the air, but I actually think that that's just as a consequence of the role that he plays or the way that he plays at Stuttgart. But in terms of his on-the-ball stuff, it's phenomenal. His passing range is sublime. He takes free kicks for Stuttgart. The ones that are further out, like 30-yarders, he does like Roberto Carlos style run-ups and absolutely smashes them. I think he's even taken penalties for Stuttgart. He's a very, very, very gifted footballer with the ball at his feet. Better than Clement Longley in my mind. Costs about the same. Has a higher ceiling. Is more stronger physically and can do the things that the centre-backs who sit at the high end of the pitch need to do, which is have the pace to get back and don't necessarily get turned on a sixpence like Clement Longley does. So for me, if we're looking for someone who's going to play the backup to a first choice left-sided centre-back, and Clement Longley is the option right now, and I understand that we don't want to spend ridiculous amounts of money, then for the same amount of money, or relatively the same amount of money, I would turn my attention to Hiroki Ito. I'll do a video on him so that you guys can see in more detail what I'm talking about. But he would be my choice over Clement Longley. The only other news to bring to your attention, guys, today is that the name Ibanez, Roger Ibanez from Roma, who would be coming in as the left-footed centre-back, if he does come in, he would be the guy, I'm guessing, who would sit alongside Christian Romero. A very, very talented international. I really like him, and Tottenham and Roma allegedly are in talks for 30 million for him. He's, again, not my first choice. If we're going to go for a proper left-sided, left-footed centre-back, then I think you need someone who's got more experience playing with a high line. He's only 23 years old, and the majority of his game time has been played in a system that is far more Jose Mourinho-esque, with a progressive style, a pragmatic style that, you know, where the defensive line is far more sat back. He also plays more often when Roma played with a back three than a back four. A very, very talented player, and I'm sure he could adapt. From what I've seen of him, I think he's got all of the kind of attributes to be able to progress his career and do whatever's asked of him. However, from what I've seen, the experience that he hasn't proven to me that he can do it at this, in this style. All I've seen of him is doing it in a different style. So he's not my first choice. You know who my first choices are for left-sided centre-backs to come into the first team. I think we need somebody who is capable in and of themselves, but also can offer that reassurance and that calmness, that presence of mind to keep an eye on Romero. Because if we can provide that in a left-sided centre-back, and we can get the best out of Romero without amplifying the worst parts of him, then Tottenham's chances next season go up by several factors. Those names for me are, obviously I've mentioned them, Aymeric Laporte, Edmund Tapsoba, players of that ilk, and I find that the idea of signing them is juicy, but probably unlikely, incredibly unlikely. Other honourable mentions that I've gone through before with you, I'm a really, really big fan of Lucaba, Castello Jr. Lucaba from Lyon. He's 21 years old. This kid is going to be, in my opinion, a superstar. He scores goals with his head. He's brilliant in the air. He's super quick. He's powerful. He's a wonderful tackler of the ball. And I will also be doing a more detailed video of him as well. So that's it from me today, guys. Just in summary, Max Kilman has been linked. I'm okay with him coming in. I really do like him as a player, but he's underwhelming when you look at the stats. He's not particularly brilliant at anything. He's just good at everything. And I'm happy for him to come in to be a part of the squad. But whether or not I really want him to be our starting left-sided centre-back, that would be a little bit underwhelming for me, I feel. But maybe it's the right level for us. Maybe Tottenham need to kind of set our standards at a realistic level, or maybe Kilman is the guy. I think he counts as homegrown because he's English and Ukrainian, so there's no issues there. But in an ideal world, Tottenham go and get someone that's a little bit more of a brand, Laporte or Tapsoba or Ibanez. Ibanez comes with his own issues. And then lastly, if we're going to get someone young to come into the rotation for the left side, then I like the looks of Lucaba. I love the look of Ito, and I'm a little bit underwhelmed again by Clement Longley, although I understand from a financial perspective, it can make sense, given how much we have to do and how it's going to be difficult to spread the budget in every direction. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, subscribe and comment. And let me know if you enjoy the stats breakdown using the Y-Scout tool. If you like them, I'll do more of them. If not, well, I'll probably do them anyway because I like them. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, bye-bye.